Welcome to AI ConvoCast, where we bring you the latest in AI and tech innovation. Quick housekeeping. Check out the affiliate links in our description. Using them supports the show, and please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Let's jump right in.
Today we will be going over the White House releasing a national AI legislative framework, NTT DATA's 2026 Foresight Report, predicting major agentic app adoption across enterprises, and OpenAI expanding Codex into application security. Let's get into it. Late last week, the White House put out a document titled A National Policy Framework for Artificial Intelligence Legislative Recommendations. This is a 4-page blueprint, and it represents the administration's first formal AI legislative push of 2026. Signed under President Donald Trump, the framework lays out 7 proposed areas where Congress should focus new legislation. Those areas include child safety, intellectual property, free speech protections, workforce development, energy infrastructure costs, and notably, a call for federal preemption over state-level AI laws. That last point is a big deal. Right now, companies building and deploying AI systems are navigating a messy patchwork of regulations that vary state by state. California and New York, for example, have been developing their own AI compliance frameworks, and for enterprises operating nationally or globally, keeping up with all of those different requirements has been a real headache. The White House framework essentially says Congress should step in, create one unified federal regulatory regime, and override the inconsistencies across states. The overall tone of the document leans toward what the administration calls an innovation-first regulatory posture, meaning the goal is to encourage AI development while still putting guardrails in place. There are also some interesting details around energy. The framework identifies AI energy demand as a legislative priority, which makes sense, given how much compute power modern AI systems require, and how quickly new data centers are being built. And on the intellectual property front, the document addresses ongoing questions about how training data should be handled legally, which has been one of the most contentious issues in the AI space over the past couple of years. This framework does not carry the force of law on its own, but it sets the stage for what could be a very active legislative session on Capitol Hill around AI policy. For anyone building, deploying, or managing AI systems in an enterprise setting, this is worth watching closely, because the compliance landscape could shift significantly depending on what Congress does with these recommendations. Moving on to some interesting industry data. NTT DATA published its Technology Foresight 2026 report on March 22nd, and one of the headline numbers is striking. The report highlights Gartner projections estimating that 40% of enterprise applications will include task-specific AI agents by the end of 2026. To put that in perspective, that number was less than 5% in 2025, so we are talking about an enormous jump in a very short period of time. The report frames AI agents as digital coworkers that are being embedded directly into core business workflows. We're not talking about standalone chatbots sitting off to the side anymore. These are agents woven into the platforms companies already use every day. Things like ERP systems for managing business operations, CRM platforms for customer relationships, and IT service management tools. The key shift the report emphasizes is that enterprises are moving from experimentation to actual production deployment. For the past year or two, a lot of companies were running pilots and proofs of concept. Now the conversation has moved to scaling these systems and making them a standard part of how software works. The report also calls out a few gating factors that could slow things down. Regulatory pressure is one, which ties directly back to what the White House is working on. Infrastructure scaling is another, because running all of these agents at scale requires serious compute resources. And then there is governance. Companies want model observability, meaning the ability to see what an AI agent is doing and why, along with strong policy enforcement to make sure agents stay within defined boundaries. That 40% projection lines up with what we are seeing from major platforms. Microsoft Copilot, Google Workspace with Gemini, and OpenAI's own enterprise products are all building agentic capabilities into their core offerings. The direction is clear, and the NTT DATA report puts a concrete number on just how fast this transition is happening. Now let's talk about what OpenAI has been up to. The company introduced Codex Security, which is an application security AI agent that expands the Codex platform into new territory. If you are familiar with Codex, it originally launched back in May 2025 as a research preview focused on helping developers write code, fix bugs, and build features faster. With Codex Security, OpenAI is pushing that tool further into what the industry calls DevSecOps, which is the practice of integrating security directly into the software development lifecycle, rather than treating it as an afterthought. What Codex Security does is autonomously scan code to identify software vulnerabilities and then propose fixes. So instead of a human security researcher manually reviewing thousands of lines of code, this agent can flag potential issues and suggest how to patch them. It is integrated across ChatGPT on the web, command line tools, desktop applications, and IDE integrations, meaning developers can access it wherever they are already working. As press coverage has noted, Codex is OpenAI's entry into an increasingly competitive market for AI coding tools, with Anthropic's Claude Code and Cursor among the notable competitors. The timing here is meaningful. As AI agents become more autonomous and more deeply embedded in enterprise systems, the security of the code those agents produce and interact with becomes critical. Having AI that can both build software and audit that software for security flaws represents an interesting evolution. Developer communities have responded with cautious optimism, acknowledging the potential value while raising valid questions about false positives and how well these tools perform in highly regulated environments where security standards are especially strict. For enterprises thinking about their software supply chain, Codex Security represents another tool in the growing arsenal of AI-powered development and security resources that are becoming available in 2026.
Thank you for listening to AI Convo Cast. Please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Thanks and hope to see you again next time.